Here they are, everybody, one of Sonos' most anticipated products of all time, the Sonos Ace headphones. Let's talk about them. So I've actually been lucky enough to have these for almost 2 weeks now at this point, and I've always wanted to be able to say that, but I will do my best to actually give you guys an idea of what these sound like. It's definitely tough to portray sound quality over a video like this, but first off, I do want to start off with the unboxing experience. So if you're a new Sonos customer, the unboxing experience is a very premium feeling experience. It's kind of like if you take an Apple unboxing experience and make it a little bit more earthy with, lighter color tones and beige and grays and things like that, but in the box, you get pretty much everything you need, minus an actual charging brick, but they do add all the different dongles that you would want out of something like these headphones. So first off, of course, you do get the headphones themselves, and they do come in a flat carrying case that is color matched to whatever Sonos color that you do get, and it comes in two different colorways. You get this black color, which is kind of like this matte black finish that does kind of resist fingerprints pretty nicely, but I actually decided to go with the soft white color, which is again a soft white, which is in the name, and a matte finish, which again looks and feels great overall. So again, the case does match that with this kind of like gray case, with the inside of it being kind of this nice textured feel and color, and inside of that case itself you get the headphones as well as this little carrying pouch that magnetically attaches to the carrying case itself, which I thought was a nice little design tidbit. And then also in the box you get a USB-C to USB-C cable for charging, which does support fast charging, and then also included in the packaging you get a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone jack, which some companies like to omit in the packaging, and that 3.5mm cable is actually very long, so you'll be able to use it in any scenario that you do use it in, which again, I didn't really use it in any plugged-in fashion. I mostly used it in Bluetooth mode. But that's pretty much everything in the box. Like I mentioned, you get the carrying case, the headphones, the little carrying pouch for the cables, and those two cables themselves, and then you're all set up. So let's get into the connectivity of the actual headphones themselves. So if you're a Sonos customer, if you're aware of Sonos, they like to use Wi-Fi in conjunction with Bluetooth with a lot of their home and office speakers because again, they're going to be in one spot most of the time, so they do rely on Wi-Fi to give you things like AirPlay and give you kind of a solid connection throughout the entire house and not just rely on a Bluetooth connection, which is limited by range of about 50 to 100 feet. But again, these are headphones and they're meant to be taken out of the house, they're meant to be used outside of the office, which means that these are going to be only Bluetooth enabled, which means no Wi-Fi connectivity, which again means no AirPlay connectivity, so I did want to get that out of the way. It doesn't affect the listening quality or the connection quality at all because it is usually connected to something that is close to you, but that's something to take note of. Now Sonos does recommend that you use a Sonos application to actually connect and set up your headphones because it does go through a little update process. I did use a Sonos app to get connected, and like I mentioned, there was a 10-minute setup process, which I wasn't a huge fan of because, I want my things to just start working right outside the box. But again, after the 10-minute update was done, then it was very easy to use, and then I was ready to go and use them. Now, you don't actually need the Sonos app to connect these because these are Bluetooth headphones. Just long press on the Bluetooth connection button, and it'll show up on your Bluetooth list on your iPhone or your Android phone or whatever you're going to connect it to, and it works just like any other pair of Bluetooth headphones. But again, if you want to have full control and go through all the nuances and kind of go through the feature sets, definitely use the application. It's worth kind of going through that 10-minute setup process to actually get these things going. And now before we get into the actual features and the sound quality of my overall review, I do want to touch on the design a little bit. Like I did mention, it comes in two different colorways, but outside of that, they are identical. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight here are the biggest win for me personally is that they actually decided to go with real tactile buttons that you press and you click and you move around, as opposed to touch sensitive buttons, which are a little bit harder to actually control because again, you're kind of looking for the touchpad or seeing where your finger goes. But the tactile buttons definitely help in order to control the headphones from the ear cups themselves. So on the left ear cup, you have one button which gives you the Bluetooth connectivity as well as it being the on and off switch. So you long press for 3 seconds to turn it on, and then you long press for I believe 5 to 7 seconds to put it into Bluetooth pairing mode. And then also on that side is where you have your USB-C connection, which as I mentioned, with a 3-minute charge alone, you do get 3 hours of listening time, and you do get up to 30 hours of full listening on the headphones, even with aware or active noise cancellation modes turned on, which we'll touch on in a little bit in the feature set. And then on the right hand side, you get two other buttons. You actually get the mode toggler, which again is just a button for the actual switching of modes between aware mode and active noise cancellation and then completely turned off. And then also if you do long press that button, you do get access to Siri if you are using Siri on your iPhone. And right above that mode switcher button, there's actually a new button that they created called the content key. Now this works twofold because you can actually move it up and down as a volume rocker or volume slider. So you move it up for volume up, move it down for volume down, but then also you can press it down and that's going to be your media control. So press it down once to pause and play, double tap to move it forward a song, triple press to move it backwards a song. So again, that's the way that it works, and that's how you control it. And it works the same way when you are taking phone calls. So you press it once to hang up, press it once to answer the phone call, and again, the volume works the same exact way. So the actual tactile buttons are one of my favorite design aspects of the Sonos Ace headphones. And then when it comes to the rest of the design, it's very lightweight, sitting at only 312 grams. It has a good amount of memory foam, and it's a great combination of both plastics as well as some stainless steel, which you can see in the actual railings on the side of it. So the design itself not only looks good in my eyes, but also is functional in terms of making sure that it's lightweight for long listening sessions. And one more aspect that I love that they included was the magnetic ear cushion cups themselves. So you can actually remove and put on cushion cups. So let's say after a long time, or maybe a year or two of wear and tear, instead of buying a whole new set of headphones, you can actually just buy the ear cups and you'll be good to go. And this also works great if you are planning to use this while working out. So if you do get a little sweaty on them, then you can just remove them, clean those with a quick cloth or a damp towel, and then put them right back on. So from a design standpoint, it checks off all of my boxes. So now let's get to the bread and butter, which is how they sound. Now, Sonos has always been known for having that premium sound quality, whether you are at home or in an office, but again, it's all speaker based. So what they did was they put all that same tech and then some into these actual headphones themselves, and they sound absolutely amazing, right? So just from a sound quality perspective, the ranges are pretty much all the way up and down, so you get very low lows and very high highs. The vocals come out very clear and crisp without any distortion at high volumes. And same thing goes for bassy music, so if you are somebody that likes to listen to very bassy music, I do recommend going into the EQ settings in the app itself and kind of bumping up that bass. But once you do bump it up, it does give you that thump that you would want out of that type of music, if that's something that you do want to listen to. But I put it through an array of different music and media sounds, so from classical music to R&B to hip hop to pop music. You hear pretty much every aspect of every song, all the different layers, the vocals, everything is very clear. It doesn't get distorted at those high volumes like I mentioned earlier. And even at lower volumes, with the active noise cancellation on, you don't feel like you need to actually increase the volume, tenfold just to hear what's going on. So the actual sound quality is amazing. But then I also put it through a bunch of podcast listening sessions because I like to listen to podcasts while I'm doing work. And it's so clear and the vocals are right in your ear that it feels like somebody's right next to you at all times, especially when you turn on that active noise cancellation mode, because it literally just blocks out everything around you and you just feel like you're right next to somebody. And same thing applies with phone calls, right? With the phone calls themselves, everything's extremely clear, and even the 8 microphone array that you have on the headphones themselves make it so it's much clearer for the person on the other side as well, more clear than something like AirPods Pro, which are kind of meant for those situations. These don't even have a microphone stock kind of pointing at you. They just pick up all the relevant noise that you would want to have and kind of sends it to those other people on the other line of a phone call. And of course, with the people speaking to you, it's clear as day. And now that is a perfect segue into the features that are included with the Sonos Ace headphones. So when it comes to the actual active noise cancellation, in my opinion, it's second to none, right? It blocks out all the noises, whether it is kind of like a sudden noise or something that's kind of ongoing, like a vacuum noise. Like I was able to vacuum all over the house and not hear my vacuum at all, and I have a Dyson vacuum and those are relatively loud. When you have subway noises during a commute, that's completely blocked out. People's chatter on the streets, that's also completely blocked out. But then also things that are a little bit more sudden, like construction noises or sirens or somebody maybe screaming at a high-pitched volume, completely blocks everything out with no kind of bleed through in the headphones themselves. So that's something that I was very impressed with. But the aware mode is what really kind of opened my eyes. Somehow with this aware mode, it makes the sounds around you sound even clearer than they would when you weren't wearing the headphones at all. It actually does this without amplifying the volume around you, so it's not like a conversation boost, it's not amplifying the sounds around you, it's just kind of making them even clearer and crisper, and it's only allowing what you would want to hear come through those headphones. So when I put them on, and let's say I'm in aware mode in my house, I can hear my daughter speak to me, I can hear her music playing in the background, I can hear some things in the kitchen kind of clanking around, and again, it just feels clearer because it's being brought closer to your ear, so maybe it does sound a little louder, but it's not being amplified. It's a very natural sounding aware mode, and that's what really impressed me the most. Their aware mode is amazing. Even when I was taking out my dog, you can hear, the cars moving around, you can hear the birds chirping even clearer, so it's almost like I was listening to white noise of maybe something around me, but in reality, it was just the noise around me being pushed through the headphones themselves through the aware mode. These headphones also support things like head tracking, which are built into the application, and the head tracking almost works too well. I remember I was walking around and I kind of aggressively moved my head in one way, and you could really hear kind of the music in one direction when it was trying to head track me, so I thought head tracking was great. It also supports things like spatial audio and Dolby Atmos, so all things and features that are, again, expected at this price point, and they work extremely well with no complaints on that end. So if you have Dolby Atmos media that you want to consume, it will support that, as well as, like I said, spatial audio, which you can then have the head tracking work in correspondence with that, which works extremely well. There's a few more things that I want to bring up from a feature set standpoint. So you can actually connect these headphones to multiple devices and have it swap between those devices very easily. And honestly, it worked better than something like my AirPods Pro, which are meant to be used with Apple products and instantly switch between different devices. So let's say you're listening to some sort of media content on your iPhone, but then you want to move over to the iPad, it'll immediately switch over. And again, this is faster than I was dealing with my AirPods. And it's amazing how quickly he was able to move it over, and then the second it's done on the actual iPad, it'll then move right back to my iPhone, whether you manually do it or it automatically turns off the music on your iPad. Same thing goes with my Mac computer. So it does say in the app itself that you can connect them to 2 different devices, but I have it switching between all 3 of my iDevices, between my MacBook Air, my iPad Pro, and my iPhone, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever with it. So again, very impressed with that auto switch feature that's built into the actual headphones themselves, which I thought was something that I would be missing because it wasn't an Apple native product. And then of course, because this is a Sonos product and Sonos is kind of known for their ecosystem of products and their speakers talking to each other and using things like Wi-Fi and AirPlay to have this immersive multi-channel experience, the same thing's gonna happen with your Ace headphones. It works with the Sonos ecosystem very well. So for instance, if you have a Sonos Arc in your home theater system or a Beam, then you're able to then do something called audio swap. Now audio swap is available immediately when you do pick these up, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Let's say you have your Arc connected to your media center and you have it connected to an Apple TV or an Xbox. You can basically take whatever sound is coming from your Sonos Arc and then move it to your headphones, right? Very self-explanatory, and it works really well. So the other day, I was playing Madden on my Xbox and I was able to swap the audio coming from my Arc to my headphones so I wasn't disturbing my wife while she was reading or my daughter while she was sleeping, and I still had this great immersive experience. Now there is one more really cool ecosystem feature, but again, it isn't out yet, and it's coming soon, so I wouldn't buy the product just for that feature set. Again, buy the product for what it does today, not for something that it's promising to do tomorrow, but it's something called True Cinema. Now True Cinema is very similar to this audio swap feature that I mentioned earlier, but instead, and what it does is that it basically shoots out a sound and again maps your actual acoustic area so that it sounds like you have a multi-channel setup in your headphones. So once it does that, I actually got a demo of this back in early May and it sounded amazing. You do get kind of like this 5.1, 7.1 channel surround sound into your headphones themselves, and it sounds amazing. They showed like Dune 2 and they showed some other action scenes and things like that, and it sounded amazing. But again, out of the box, it will not be available, and as of right now, it's still in the coming soon without an actual date letting us know when it will be available, but it is coming to the Sonos headphones supposedly, and I definitely will have a maybe follow-up video once that does come out, so definitely stay tuned. And the last thing I do want to bring up is that these headphones, they're made for the people at home, they're made for people in the office, for on a commute. They weren't really made with, the gym or running or workouts in mind. These aren't meant to sweat in. Like technically there's not an IP rating on these headphones at all, but I did the hard work and I actually took it to the gym and took it on a long run. So let's go to my past self to talk about that.
Hi, thank you, future Fernando. First things first, this is a microphone test. I'm in an area by the water, so it's gonna be kind of windy, and hopefully you guys can hear it through, and I'll hear back once I'm editing this. But I wanted to give you guys a synopsis on what it was like to run with these. Like I mentioned earlier, the Sonos headphones, these Ace headphones, weren't made for working out. They weren't really made with athletes in mind. These are like home, office, travel, kind of leisure, and they're not IP rated either. So again, I wanted to put it through its paces. I did about a 4-mile run, 8 to 8:15 minute pace. I'm trying to catch my breath here, but overall they're great. I mean, they didn't get hot, and it is hot out today. I would say I probably had to readjust them twice. They were kind of slipping off my head backwards. Like I would put them forward, then they would move back a little bit as I ran. But again, I'm bouncing up and down. And this is probably the most strenuous thing that you could do with these headphones on. I took them to the gym the other day. They were just doing casual weightlifting. They worked totally fine. But again, they didn't get hot. They're very comfortable. The aware mode is great, especially when you're running and you hear cars. And one thing I will recommend is when I didn't wear a hat and I went running in these or worked out in these, they did tend to slip off a little bit more. So maybe it's just because my hair gets sweaty and it's supposed to slip off a little bit and my hair is like silky. I don't know. But once I put a hat on, it stayed on much, much better. And I guess that depends on the hat that you're wearing, what material it's made out of. But that was my 2 cents on kind of like the fitness aspect of these Sonos Ace headphones, which again is not the selling point for these things, but it is nice that you can wear them to work out. I wouldn't be doing plyometrics or CrossFit or anything like that. Any fast twitch movements, probably not. They'll probably fall off eventually, but overall for casual working out, they pass the test.
So again, as you saw, it does work with some light exercise. So if you're somebody that wants to use these while working out, again, if you're an over-ear headphone kind of person at the gym, by all means, it'll definitely get the job done. I just wouldn't really buy them for that specific purpose if that's what you want to do. But that is going to do it for my review, everybody. My final take is going to be that these headphones are going to be, I guess, the new king of this kind of price category, because right now the AirPods Max, it's a 3, almost 4-year-old kind of pair of headphones. They are still overpriced in my opinion. Then you have things like the Bose QC Ultras and the Sony headphones, and there's some other ones in this price point. But again, if you're a prosumer and you're a fan of Sonos, or even if you're a new customer of Sonos, this is a great way to kind of get into that ecosystem, because it gives you everything that you want from a prosumer and kind of high-end premium level headphone, and it fits right into your ecosystem, whether it is a Sonos ecosystem or just using it with your regular devices. But like I mentioned, that's going to do for this video. Leave a comment down below. Are you guys going to pick one of these up? What do you think about the Sonos headphones? Do you like the design? Do you like all the features that it has? I know that there's a whole kind of controversy with the Sonos app, but for the most part, once I kind of set it up and go through my little setup process with the audio swap and the Bluetooth connectivity, I don't really touch the Sonos app much after that, but that's just me. Some people got upset with the new update, but Sonos did kind of come out with a statement that they were going to fix and maybe revert back to some of the old stuff that they were doing with the Sonos application. But like I mentioned, that's going to do it for this video. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. In full transparency, Sonos did send over their own review unit to kind of test out, but I will be picking up one with my own money because I just enjoyed them that much. But that will do it, everybody. If you guys want to watch more videos like this one, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.